Maddie Gardner here with Tim Buckley in studio and Tahisha Moyes looking beautiful in fuchsia from home this afternoon. It's a nice summery color. It honestly kind of feels a bit summery outside too.
It does for sure. It's another beautiful day. I'm the lucky one that gets to go outside. So you guys have to be inside. I'll be outside.
It's okay. We have air conditioning in here.
That's true, yeah.
Of course, this is an interactive news show built to connect you with your community and with us. That's why during the breaks we chat with you on the live stream on our Facebook page. Use our hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected.
All right, new at 4 o'clock, big news for the Greensboro Aquatic Center. The center is hosting the NCAA Division I Men's Swimming and Diving National Championships in 2021. This will be the first time the Aquatic Center has ever hosted D1 Men's Championships. Now, in the past, the center hosted the Women's D1 Championships in 2015, D2 Men's and Women's Championships in 2018, and D3 Men's and Women's Championship in 2016 and 2019. The Aquatic Center was supposed to host D3 again this year, but that was canceled because of coronavirus. It's also hosting the Division I Women's Championships the week before on March 17th through the 20th. The D1 Men's Championship is scheduled for March 24th through the 27th.
The next presidential debate is now up in the air. The Commission on Presidential Debates announced this morning that next week's scheduled debate will now be virtual. Shortly after that announcement, President Donald Trump said he would not participate in a virtual debate. Democratic nominee Joe Biden's advisors suggested that the debate be postponed, and President Trump's team accepted a new date of October 22nd, but then argued that the third debate should happen on October 29th, just days before the election. Biden's campaign declined the proposed 29th debate, regardless of what either campaign wants. The final decision is up to the commission. The commission says they changed the format of the debate to protect public health after President Trump tested positive for coronavirus.
Excuse me. Dr. Chris Uhl with Wake Forest Baptist Health says President Trump just didn't have coronavirus. He believes President Trump had what's called COVID pneumonia. Now, Dr. Uhl adds this is not a criticism of the president, but a statement on how severe his illness was.
And that's judged by the treatments he got, when he got them, and also the observations that when he climbed the steps in the White House, he was short of breath. And you could see him using muscles to breathe that normally we don't use.
Dr. Uhl says the president's recovery will take time, no matter his treatment.
Well, the Trump campaign is in North Carolina twice this week. Tonight, Eric Trump is hosting a campaign event in Whitsett at Machine Specialties Incorporated. It's at 6:30, but doors will open at 5:30. And then on Saturday, Donald Trump Jr. is hosting 2 Operation Make America Great Again events and a sportsman banquet. Those will be at Jack Leggett Farms in Roland at 2 p.m. and then in Fayetteville at 3:45.
Vice President Mike Pence and U.S. Senator Kamala Harris are both campaigning in Arizona after last night's debate, the vice presidential debate. The candidates touched on topics such as filling the Supreme Court, healthcare, the economy, and climate change. So we asked you at home, who do you feel won the debate? Brian Bennett is here with us now. He's been looking at those comments. Brian, what do the people say?
All right, yeah, I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to try to get through all of these. So let's start off with Rita. She says Pence was clearly the winner because he answered all of the questions. All right. Ms. Bedell says Kamala Harris was the winner. Pence was in La La Land. While Lisa says Pence all the way. Justin says Kamala 100%. He was frozen. No founded answers. Darrell Jones says Pence hands down, while Rebecca says Kamala, she nailed it. And Juan says nothing's going to change. Who cares? While lastly, Rachel says the fly. There's always one commenter that has to come in with the little comedic relief. So there you have it. Our viewers have sounded off.
Yes, they have, Brian. And if you haven't lended your voice to this conversation, all you have to do is find that post on our Facebook page and let us know, who do you think won the vice presidential debate? Well, ahead of this year's election, Facebook is preparing to avoid any controversy like what they faced in the 2016 election when there were rumors that Russian operatives influenced the race through Facebook. So let's connect the dots for you on their plan for this election.
Facebook was at the center of controversy after the 2016 presidential election when word leaked Russian operatives had used the site to influence the race. So what is it doing differently this election? Let's connect the dots. Facebook just announced it will ban political ads as soon as the polls close on Election Day this year, which seems pretty odd considering all votes should be in at that point. But according to reports, the company is concerned the site could be used to spread false information about the outcome. So now they will prohibit all political and issue-based advertising indefinitely after polls close November 3rd. And that's not all they're doing. Facebook says it will place notifications at the top of the news feed to notify users that no winner has been declared. It will rely on a mix of news outlets, including the Associated Press and Reuters, to declare a winner in the presidential race. It is also trying to prevent promoting election interference. Facebook plans to remove any posts calling for people to show up at the polls if they include language that suggests violence, intimidation, or an attempt to control. This all comes after the company has run over 80 possible scenarios of possible outcomes in an attempt to predict an unpredictable year.
Well, back here at home, the Forsyth County Board of Elections is receiving a grant to help them pull off a safe, fair, and accurate election. The Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation is giving the Board of Elections $50,000. Now, across the state, counties need staff, poll workers, and equipment for the upcoming election. And a very important reminder, tomorrow is the last day you can register to vote. Voter registration forms have to be mailed in and postmarked on or before tomorrow's date. You can also fax in your application to your Board of Elections office before 5 p.m. Now, after tomorrow's deadline, the only chance you have to register to vote is if you do same-day registration at early voting sites. That's running from October 15th through the 31st. You cannot register to vote after that.
Bit of a warm day outside right now at the moment. Of course, we keep the sunshine around. We've been lucky to have this all week long. Very sunny week of weather, a dry one too. Temperatures currently in the low 80s, and it's a bit of a change of pace for us. We've had cooler than average weather over the last couple of weeks. Now it's on the toastier side. 84 in Wilkesboro, 83 Mount Airy and Burlington, some 81s from Greensboro to Asheboro. In case you're curious, on average, we do get about 5 80-degree days during the month of October. This is number 2. I don't have any more in the forecast. We'll see what happens the next couple of weeks, though. For the evening, if you have any outdoor plans, it's beautiful, especially as that sun gets lower in the sky. It won't be quite as warm. It'll be in the 70s, cooling off to the 60s and 50s overnight tonight. The big change for tomorrow, it's still dry. You'll notice clouds. Not all overcast all the time, but scattered clouds moving in throughout the day, and it'll also be cooler. High temperature tomorrow, just about 70 degrees. This is what Futurecast shows for your Friday. But once we get into Saturday, we turn the page to some scattered showers. Not a ton of rain here, but scattered showers partially related to this. Coming up, we'll talk much more about Hurricane Delta and the rain that we can expect to get from that as it moves closer to us by Sunday to finish up your weekend.
Let's take a look now at your 4 to 5 roundup. Guilford County Schools will close all internet hubs and learning centers after tomorrow. The district says they need to prepare the schools where those centers are for students to return on October 20th. The hubs were opened in neighborhoods where there is poor internet connectivity so kids could complete their online learning. GCS says they plan to operate and expand the number of centers at high school campuses since those students are not slated to return to buildings until the end of January. There is still money available for small businesses and family farms in North Carolina, but the deadline to apply for that money is approaching. Applications for the Rapid Recovery Loan Program are due on October 15th. The loan size cap, repayment term, and borrowing amount were extended to $250,000 with no payments and 0.25% interest in the first 18 months. For more information, you can go to ncrapidrecovery.org. Another American is taking home a Nobel Prize, this time for literature. The committee says Louise Gluck won the prize because her unmistakable poetic voice with austere beauty makes individual existence universal. That's pretty poetic right there. Gluck made her debut in 1968 with Firstborn. Nobel Prize winners for peace and economics will be announced soon. And another company is hoping to capitalize on Amazon Prime Day. Best Buy says they'll offer some early Black Friday deals on October 13th and 14th when Amazon is hosting its two-day sales event. Walmart and Target both announced that they will offer competing sales during Prime Day. These major retailers are hoping to push consumers to shop before the start of the holiday shopping season in order to avoid crowds in November and December.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and local experts say numbers are up in the triad because of the pandemic. What to look for next? A pandemic within the pandemic. That's how some are describing the rising number of domestic violence cases around the country. In Guilford County alone, domestic violence related homicides are up 250% from last year. Now, with October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Triad organizations want you to be aware of what is going on in your community. Madonna C. Jackson with the Cherie Denise Jackson Foundation works to provide resources and shelter to those dealing with domestic abuse. She says we all play a role in spotting abuse.
The way you spread awareness is by talking about it. You can see that there might be something different with your friend or with your coworker. Those are the key things that you need to pay attention to.
According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the U.S. Audrey Saw with the Family Service of the Piedmont says the pandemic is only making things worse.
What we've really noticed is not the number of calls or people coming in for services or the amount of 50Bs. It's the intensity of the cases that we're seeing.
Saw and Jackson say over the last 7 months, the pandemic has put a financial strain on many families, leading to people lashing out at their partners.
you know, women in these situations, men in these situations, they, you know, they have a break when the abuser goes off to work. Well, with COVID, no one is going to work. And you got to think about, you know, the pain that that person is in.
People were told to stay in isolation. That's one of the most dangerous things that you can tell a victim of domestic violence.
Later this month, the Cherie Denise Jackson Foundation will team up with the city of Greensboro to begin their Paint the City Purple campaign. The organization is also starting a new support group for both victims and those wanting to help. So I will link you to all of that information on our website. I'll also have the numbers of both the local and national crisis hotlines to make sure those who need help get it.
And coming up next on your 4 to 5, the NFL tries to tackle COVID. The Tennessee Titans are fumbling with more cases, and the Patriots are closing their facilities. What the league's chief medical officer says about the rise in cases and how it could impact the season. That's next.
The New England Patriots are canceling practice for today after a third player tested positive for coronavirus. Practice squad defensive tackle Bill Murray, cornerback Stephen Gilmore, and quarterback Cam Newton are all on the NFL's coronavirus reserve list. Gilmore posted on Twitter he followed every safety precaution but still got the virus, asking people to take it seriously. The team is working remotely today, but a decision hasn't been made just yet for Friday's practice. Now, if the team gets to practice, it will be their only practice before they're scheduled for kickoff against the Denver Broncos on Sunday. Well, there's a greater possibility Tennessee Titans will not play this Sunday as more positive results for players. NFL reporter for ESPN, Deanna Rossini, says that the teams could play Monday or Tuesday. Now, if the Bills play the Titans Monday or Tuesday, then the Bills games against the Chiefs may get moved to Saturday. But just keep this in mind, nothing is set in stone just yet.
And we are also hearing from the NFL's chief medical officer, who says the league could pause this entire season to allow teams to deal with outbreaks of coronavirus. Alan Sills says the NFL is now reviewing each team's situation and league protocols. He says there are a few options on the table, but all teams have to participate in the new safety guidelines. Meanwhile, country music star Morgan Wallen was removed from Saturday Night Live's performance lineup. The show says he violated the show's COVID safety protocols. Videos of the singer surfaced on TikTok and show him at crowded bars not wearing a mask and also at a house party in Alabama. Wallen apologized for his actions, saying they were, quote, short-sighted and now impacting his dreams. SNL has not commented on his removal or announced a fill-in performer for this Saturday's show. Coming up next on the 4 to 5, do you love it or do you hate it? Talking about pumpkin spice. A new study shows who is spicing up their lives with pumpkin spice. And you know what? The results shocked me. They'll probably shock you. That's next. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. A new study reveals who is fangirling over pumpkin spice during the spooky season, and it is not us, ladies. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters did a survey and found that men are more excited for pumpkin spice coffee than women this year. Nearly double the amount of men shared their excitement for pumpkin spice to return this fall. That includes coffee and donuts. Men ranked all things pumpkin spice in the top 3 things that they're looking forward to this fall season. That's along with football season and a change of weather. Overall, the obsession Americans have with pumpkin spice is actually much higher this year than it's been in previous years. 54% say they are looking forward to the return of all of the pumpkin spice flavors. Honestly, I feel like we have to start with Tim Buckley with this one because you are not among the men who love the pumpkin spice.
I mean, I've never had one of those coffees. I have not. I don't really like flavored coffee, so I'm probably a bad person to ask. I will say the best pumpkin spice thing I've ever had, Maddie, You made this yesterday. These little bundt cakes, they had like a pumpkin spice frosting and a cake, and it was amazing. So I do like that. I'm enthusiastic.
Thank you. Yes, it was a pumpkin chocolate chip bundt cake with pumpkin spice, cream cheese frosting. I brought some to Tim. To Haysha, I'm sorry.
Hello.
I'll make sure.
Left out.
I'm sorry.
This is why work from home is not helping you.
But we live close to each other, so that's not an excuse.
Well, I have some left. I'll give one to Haysha.
Okay.
Now, as far
I was going to say, I have a hack for you because I went to a grocery store and I tried to find some pumpkin spice and it was like $6, okay?
Whoa.
Apparently Dollar Tree sells them for $1. So there you go.
You're talking about like the actual pumpkin pie spice,
the
like
actual pumpkin pie spice. Yes.
I think it's just cinnamon and nutmeg, right?
It is.
Like, that's all it is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But then you have to buy 4 things.
If it were
I think there's
called-
allspice in there too.
Oh.
You know, you have to buy 4 things to make one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. If it were called cinnamon and nutmeg, I feel like it would not be a big deal. But
It's marketing,
it is.
Tim. It's all
Marketing.
about the marketing.
Hey, well, here's the kicker. It feels like summer today, not fall. So no pumpkin pie spice for any of us. Instead, we have the warm weather here, and another summer-like thing we're really following closely is Hurricane Delta. I want to show you where it is now, what the strength is, and where it's going. It's in the Gulf of Mexico at the moment, starting to develop a little bit of an eye also. This storm is only getting stronger. Winds right now are at 105 miles per hour. You see it right there. Category 2 storm. Louisiana is up here. The path of this is going to take it right there closer to Louisiana, and it's been slowly gaining strength over the last day. Expected to be perhaps a category 3 at landfall or very close to it, and then weakening a lot before it gets close to us. And the good news for us is that the center of the storm will be well to our west. We'll still get rain, but to me it's looking like scattered showers for Saturday and then some steadier rainfall for Sunday. So Saturday, not a washout. Sunday is looking to be a pretty wet day. We'll get about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rainfall over the weekend. And then next week we have some more temperature roller coasters coming our way.
Coming up at 4:30, a lot of important moments in the vice presidential debate last night, but one has the internet buzzing. We asked you how you felt about moderator Susan Page and how she handled the debate. We check in with your comments next.
I feel like she kind of just did whatever the candidates wanted.
Hi, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie.
You gonna format the first story properly? Just has Maddie's read all in animation.
afternoon and welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Dehaisha Moise and Tim Buckley. And Tim, you know that this is an interactive show, so people are sounding off and respecting you for not loving the pumpkin spice on Facebook.
Am I getting points for that?
Yes.
It's never really been a thing that I like, but I don't dislike you if you like pumpkin spice.
Absolutely not.
That's fine. I also don't like peppermint in the winter time. I'm just boring. I like regular coffee and regular things.
Well, you can still stick around. We're
I'm
still
very
accepted
vanilla
here.
yes.
All right, as you can see, we have a variety of conversations going on our Facebook
The important
page.
issues are being
Absolutely.
covered. Yes.
Use our hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected. Let's jump right into the news of the day. An arrest almost exactly 2 years to the date of a Greensboro man's murder. 28-year-old Christopher Young was shot and killed on Bernard Avenue back on October 6, 2018.
Well, after months that turned into years of no answers, Young's family put up a billboard and offered a $25,000 reward leading to any information. Well, last month, police identified a suspect, Malcolm Blow, and issued a warrant for his arrest. He was found 7 days ago in Norfolk, Virginia, and is being charged now with first-degree murder. Police say they did not receive any anonymous tips that led to his arrest, saying detectives stayed on the case. So the reward money is being returned to the donors. Blow will be extradited to Greensboro. His next court date is November 2nd. All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup right now. 5 women say they experienced harassment, assault, or rape by soldiers at Fort Hood in Texas. 2 active duty soldiers, 2 veterans, and a civilian told the Associated Press about their experiences dating back to 2014. Current and former soldiers are now taking to social media to share their own accounts of sexual assault and harassment at the military post. They say they're moved to share after Vanessa Guillen's family members say she was harassed by the soldier who eventually killed her. Natty Green's Brewhouse location on Gate City Boulevard will close indefinitely. The beer maker says it's because of the pandemic in a post on social media. The downtown location in Greensboro will stay open. Petco will no longer sell certain types of electronic shock collars. Instead, the pet supply chain is encouraging pet owners to use positive reinforcement training. Petco is working to rebrand themselves into a health and wellness company for animals. For years, animal rights groups have opposed shock collars, saying they make pets feel anxious, fearful, and stressed. Hundreds of members of the Orthodox Jewish community in several Brooklyn neighborhoods took to the streets to protest New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's new coronavirus restrictions. In a large protest, they burned their face masks. This week, Cuomo ordered 9 New York City neighborhoods to return to lockdown in an attempt to address recent spikes in COVID-19 cases. Part of that limits gatherings at places of worship to 10 people.
On Friday, we entered phase 3 of easing restrictions, but this phase only works safely if we realize that every gathering carries the risk of spreading this disease.
North Carolina is seeing a slight uptick in the number of coronavirus cases. Today, more than 2,400 new cases were reported. Since the start of the pandemic, more than 225,000 people have tested positive for COVID-19. Our percent of positive tests is now at 5.5%, and just more than 1,000 people are in hospitals across the state. The state has completed more than 3 million COVID-19 tests. Dr. Christopher Uhl with Wake Forest Baptist Health says he is concerned over this small increase in cases and says moving into phase 3 is not an excuse for us to let our guards down.
Phase 3 does not mean that it's over. It just means we're having a bit of an experiment and trying to open a few other things up compared to what they were. Unfortunately, you don't have to take much of a look around to know that people are stretching the rules a bit.
So Dr. Uhl says if you go somewhere and it is busy, it is best to leave. And he also recommends small Thanksgiving dinners this year with limited travel. He explains that right now is really not the best time to take a trip.
Travel, I think, is going to be tougher around Thanksgiving this time of year because the numbers are going up all over the country.
And Dr. Uhl went on to say if you absolutely must travel, the Caribbean islands might just be your best bet.
If you watched last night's vice presidential debate, you may have noticed some of the interruptions between the two candidates and them going over their allotted response time. But how did that compare to the presidential debate? We asked you how you felt Susan Page handled her duties as moderator of the debate. Brian Bennett is monitoring your comments right now. Brian, how do people feel about Susan? Do they think she did a good job?
Well, I'm about to tell you, Tahisha, so buckle up and let's go ahead and dive right on in, okay? We're going to start with Irene. She says she was weak and should have told Pence to stop by saying shut up, all right? So this next commenter says, she's Elizabeth, by the way. She says, wasn't too bad at all. Let us get a strong black moderator, please. While Sherry says, good most of the time. I kept with the answers and she cut Pence off way before his time was up with at least one question. Maybe she didn't like what he was saying. I didn't like that. While in response, Linda says, wow, we were watching different debates. Pence kept going past his time on every question. While Joy says, you could tell she was leaning to the left. And lastly, Kimberly said, great questions, but need to have timer visible to everyone and cut off mic when time's up. Overall, I do think everybody pretty much did say it went off a little better than Joe Biden and President Trump. But people did say, you know, there were still some problems, still some issues that do need to be worked out.
I loved when the candidates would talk and they would say, thank you, Susan, and then go off into another question. Just like, come on, let Susan do her job, right? All right, so how would you describe last night's VP debate if you could in just one word? That's the question I posed to you all on my Facebook page today. So let's see how you described the debate. First comment comes from Janice Spangsberg, who says, Superwoman. Jan says fly, because remember that fly that was on VP Pence's head. Michelle Grandi says expected. Marissa says entertaining. Jessica Lynn Young just wrote Harris, maybe saying she preferred how Senator Harris performed. Jamie Cheatham saying Pence, same thing on the other side. And our last comment comes from Charity Faith, who says interesting. And I got to agree, I did think it was interesting. I enjoyed really hearing what both candidates had to say. I'm a little less back and forth in terms of stepping on each other from the presidential debate. But we have two more debates after this one, two more presidential debates. We'll see. With the virtual, I don't know right now.
Right, yes, absolutely. Some changes coming to those if they happen. Tahisha, I like what you posed on our 4 to 5 live stream too. You said, after watching this debate, do you feel like you are a little bit more informed? And many people are saying not really. They just watch the debates for entertainment and they're not really getting a lot of information from them.
Yeah, and so it just begs the question, is there a point to these if a lot of people are feeling like they aren't learning anything? I hope, you know, that with these debates that someone gets something out of it, help them be a more informed voter. But I don't know, the comments say otherwise.
All right, well, you can continue to weigh in on the 4 to 5 live stream. We will join you in the comments section. Coming up this weekend, you have another chance to help our neighbors. Ebenezer Lutheran Church is hosting a food drive for Greensboro Urban Ministries Food Bank. Now, they hosted a drive back in May and they collected 1,500 pounds of food, but they say there is still a big need in our community.
Right now, with so many people having trouble, those of us that are able to give, we really need to share what we have with those who don't, because quite frankly, there are people at the food bank who have never ever needed help before. And you never know when it might be your turn to need to ask for help.
That food drive is this Saturday from 10 until noon at the church on Tremont Drive in Greensboro.
All right, the debate weather-wise today, honestly, is it too hot? for you for October. Temperatures are in the 80s here. I asked you this question in our live stream as well, and Nancy, Ed, and Bobby, they all said, hey, it feels great. We like this. So, well, good for you. If you disagree, leave us a comment on the Facebook page. Blue sky right now across the Triad, though, from Greensboro to High Point to Winston-Salem and Burlington. And hasn't it been nice to have that sunshine really all week long? This is our second day in the 80s. Before this, it was nice and cooler. Actually, going into tomorrow, a couple of changes. Change number one will be some cloud cover. Not overcast, but some high-level wispy clouds from time to time. Then by Saturday, we start to see some at least scattered rainfall up here in our area. So as we get into the weekend, that's when we have to start to worry about rain again. But for tomorrow, a little cooler, well, really a lot cooler actually. Upper 50s for the morning, upper 60s to near 70 for the afternoon, and there will be that threat of cloud cover from time to time. For the weekend, the attention turns to Hurricane Delta. Check it out, it has an eye now. Winds are at 105 miles per hour. It will be bringing us some rain. Not a lot for Saturday, but on Sunday, that's more of a soaking kind of day. We'll talk more about your weekend coming up.
They are using Prime Day to kick off the holiday shopping season this year. This allows shoppers more time to get their holiday shopping done.
Of course they are. I talked with an expert from Consumer Reports about Amazon Prime Day, and due to the pandemic, of course, Prime Day was moved and it's now in October.
And how convenient is that?
Convenient.
People can start their holiday shopping early.
Hey! Okay, so that brings me to ask, have you started your holiday shopping?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I can't.
Because you don't ever start this early?
No.
Or just
December.
because 2020 is crazy?
All of the above.
Okay. I have to admit, I have bought 2 presents so far, but it was only because I saw something on really good sale. I was not looking for it. I am not that organized.
I wish I was that kind of person.
Well, but I also think to myself, anytime I see Amazon Prime Day, I don't usually buy for somebody else, I buy for me. Do you do that too? Okay.
If you give someone a gift, you have to get yourself a gift.
I think so too. Okay, here's the thing about Prime Day. To see all the things, you have to be a member, right? But there's always a way around paying that membership fee.
It's also very important to be a Prime member for this sale. If you're not, you won't be able to even see a lot of the deal pricing, and you won't be able to buy any of it either. So they have a free 30-day trial you can sign up for. You can always cancel before the month is up if you don't want to pay. It's $13 a month or $120 a year.
Yeah, that's right. There's always that trial membership that you can cancel just right in the nick of time. It is good to know the tricks. We have a few more for you because these retailers, all of these other ones, yes, they are jumping on the Prime Day bandwagon as well and adding their very own sales. We're going to tell you about them coming up at 5 o'clock. All right, coming up at 5:30, we're working to get your elections questions answered. So the head of the Guilford County Board of Elections is going to be here. You can text your question 336-379-5775.
City of Burlington is hosting 2 exciting Halloween events. The first is the D-Town, B-Town Bat Hunt. That's just fun to say. Well, a scavenger hunt leads families around downtown Burlington, there you get the name, searching for bats flying in store windows. The hunt is from October 16th through the 28th. Anyone who catches all the bats will be entered into a drawing to win Halloween activity bags and downtown dollars. Then there's the B-Town Halloween Cruise Through event on October 24th from 1 to 4 p.m. You can cruise through to see witchy performances, decorations, people in costumes while you're on your way to pick up trick or treat goodie bags. The events are taking place in the dark in the park and downtown Spooktacular. Those are some other events taking place. Both of those typically bring in thousands of people. Probably won't expect that much this year just because of the pandemic.
And we just want to be clear, those events are not happening because of the pandemic this year. Something else that might be a little iffy, trick-or-treating. If it happens, it's going to look different because of the pandemic. But one thing that likely won't change, at least for me, is eating copious amounts of Halloween candy. A new survey by Morning Consult shows 79% of parents have taken candy from their kids after a night out of trick-or-treating, and 31% of moms and dads say they have plans to choose their favorite sweets from their kids' stash and hide it away. So we had to talk about this on my Facebook page, and here's what you had to say. Kathy said, I don't have this problem anymore since my kids are adults, but now the issue is my husband raiding my trick or treat stash. I always buy what we like, so Maddie, come on down. Thank you, Kathy. I like the invitation to candy. Kevin Gray says, can't steal any from my youngest. Caught him up in the middle of the night after Halloween making a written inventory of his candy. Kevin, your son may be keeping my books soon. Jamie Kilby says she steals the candy. In fairness, she likes candy more than her kids. And Allie Ray says she really loves Reese's and anything sour, but she steals them from her parents' trick-or-treat bowl if they have them in there. And Janelle Stevenson said her favorite is the peanut butter taffy in the orange and black wrappers.
Really?
She likes to steal those. What are they called? Peanut butter kisses?
I don't like them that much.
You don't like them that much? I'm going after the Reese's Pumpkins, Reese's,
Yes.
and Snickers, and also an Almond Joy.
I like all of those.
And the Three Musketeers and the Butterfingers and the Twix and the Kit Kats.
We don't
Just all
discriminate.
the things
I
that
like pretty
involve
much
chocolate.
anything chocolate and
Yeah.
like anything in like the name brand bag I'm good with. But do you think it's right for the parents to do this
Yes.
or wrong?
I think they paid for the Halloween costume.
Yeah.
They spent their time in
Okay.
past years taking their kids trick-or-treating, so this is just their payment. Plus the kids live rent-free.
It's a little
Yeah, that's
Halloween
true.
tax, right? I think it's fine.
Candy tax.
Candy tags, absolutely. All right, let's continue this conversation on our Facebook page while we head to break. We'll see you in the comments section.
Gobble up.
Tim, you should have mentioned about your dad as a former dentist. You don't want your kids to be eating that much candy.
Is there a toss or no toss?
Martinsville Speedway is planning to host some fans for several NASCAR races at the end of the month.
WFMY News 2's Luke Liddon explains the Speedway's plan.
Hey NASCAR fans, remember when? Just a few months ago, all racetracks and speedways were like a ghost town, so quiet. Minus the blaring cars, of course. Yeah, that is pretty loud. But we have some great news for all of you NASCAR fans, as a limited number of fans will be allowed to enter Martinsville Speedway for some of the upcoming NASCAR playoffs. The track will host limited fans for the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff race on Halloween night, the Xfinity 500 NASCAR Cup Series playoff race on November 1st, and the NASCAR Hall of Fame Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series playoff race, and that'll be on Friday, October 30th. Martinsville President Clay Campbell chimed in on the news saying, after successfully hosting a June NASCAR Cup Series race, Martinsville will be ready to welcome back fans for a safe race experience in the Commonwealth. And now, of course, face coverings and social distancing will be required at all these events, but still, it's a great sign and a little promising as well to have a little bit of normalcy return to all of our lives, especially in the sports world. Back to you.
And speaking of NASCAR, too, a big race in Charlotte on Sunday could be soggy. Some rain headed toward us this weekend. Not now, though. Today was another beauty, hardly a cloud to be found. High temperature of 81 degrees. For the second day in a row, we snuck just over 80 degrees. Pretty impressive warmth, but cooler weather on the way. A front is moving south of us. Right now, as we go into tonight, we will be cooler. Tomorrow has highs only in the upper 60s. Still a nice day. Here's the problem, though. Hurricane Delta coming right there into Louisiana on Saturday. We'll just have some scattered showers for the first half of the weekend. But by Sunday, that's really when some steadier rain is likely. And it wouldn't even be impossible to see a stray thunderstorm for Sunday afternoon and evening, too. So bottom line, your weekend looking kind of soggy, especially for Sunday. I think Saturday you can probably sneak out some dry periods. After that, we go into next week with some muggy air. Temperatures in the 70s for a little while, and then we cool down with cooler, drier air by the end of the work week.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, the future of the next presidential debate is in question. Next week's will be virtual now, but President Trump says he won't take part, and now there's talk about pushing the date back. We'll have the very latest next on WFMY News 2 at 5.
Hi, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
This location behind me has been a part of the Natty Greens company since 2007. The tap room had actually just reopened last year.
Hi there. Hurricane Delta now a Category 3. It's re-strengthened to a Category 3 hurricane.
Hi, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia.
Hi there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I need you to, apparently. Hey, this the blue one, the antenna just fell off. I'm going to put it on the table if you'll write it up. Thanks.
It's time for my 2 cents. On the heels of last night's vice presidential debate and a week away from the second presidential debate, it likely feels like you are being bombarded with all things election. You really can't escape it between your social media feed, your mailbox, and those never-ending text messages asking if you're registered to vote. It is stressful every 4 years, but it's especially stressful in 2020 because we've all been dealing with the stress of COVID-19 in the months leading up to the election. The American Psychological Association and Harris poll found 68% of American adults say the upcoming presidential election is a significant source of stress in their life. For perspective, in 2016, only 52% of people said the election was a somewhat significant source of stress. But there are ways that we can cope with this. First, understand there are things we cannot control. Don't let your mind switch over into worst-case scenario mode. Obsessing over the doom and the gloom can cause even more problems. You also want to consider planning everything out. There are some things you can control, like when you're going to vote and what you're going to do on Election Day. Having a plan gives you a sense of stability. Something else you can control, how much you allow yourself to consume election-related content. Do not get into doom scrolling or endlessly scrolling through social media and reading all of the bad stuff. Set limits for yourself. Listen, elections are important. They're the cornerstone of our nation, and it is good to be informed and connected. But if you find it's too much and you're stressed out, allow yourself to disconnect and take a breath. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
On again, off again. That has been the story for the next presidential debate.
As of right now, the second presidential debate will not be happening, at least not next week. WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe is here to explain.
So the next presidential debate, it was supposed to be next Thursday night, but there have been a few snags. Starting with this, some of the staff workers that do the debate, they're concerned about catching coronavirus from President Trump's side. That is because it is within that 14-day window that the CDC says you should quarantine after testing positive. Add that to concerns raised by the first debate moderator, Chris Wallace. He said President Trump did not take the rapid coronavirus test before the debate as agreed because the president arrived late. All of this made the Commission on Presidential Debates say the second debate, they'd just do it virtually. But CBS News says the commission did not tell the candidates before announcing that decision.
I'm not going to waste my time on a virtual debate. That's not what debating's all about. You sit behind a computer and do a debate. It's ridiculous.
We don't know what the president's going to do. He changes his mind every second. So for me to comment on that now would be irresponsible.
Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden did not comment this morning, but the